Hi everybody, Jo here again. I thought it was time we had another little catch up, so thank you for joining me, and as always, thank you for all your lovely comments. It's so nice to have feedback from you, and it's lovely that we can meet up crafters from all over the world and we can have something in common we can craft together, so thank you very much for that. Today we're going to make this little design, and really the whole premises of this design was I put an order in with Tracy. I wanted the new paint brushes, the Lavinia paint brushes, which I have to say I just adore. And I ordered myself a couple of the new Elements ink pads, and one of the colours I went for was this Confetti. And the whole premise of this card was I just wanted to play with my Confetti ink pad. So consequently, I've got this beautiful pretty in pink card design. But obviously, as always, you can change it up. You can use other colours. I just wanted to actually see how a card would look, almost with the monochromatic feel. Now, I have also used some Mica Minerals, and again, that's had a couple of messages off a couple of our lovely followers who've just bought some Mica Minerals and weren't sure what to do with them. So I thought, you know what, I'll incorporate it in this video today. So hopefully that'll help answer a few questions too. So if I bring it a little bit closer, this is the design we're going to use. And I've gone for, as you know, a 6x6 card blank is my favourite, just because it's a nice, easy size to post. And the card size I'm using, so this is multifarious. Oh, look, here's one. I often do this. On the back, I've just tested my stamping out with positioning. So I have to say, if ever you get a card from me, probably underneath on the opposite side, that's why we use double-sided card, isn't it? Anyway, so this, as I was saying, is a 5" by 5" square, just because I tend to cut myself a lot of this size toppers, because I know it's ideal to go on my 6x6, but also should I wish to add any coloured card behind, any matting and layering, I have got room for that. On this occasion I haven't, because I'm thinking, again, you see in my head, I'm thinking this would make an ideal Christmas design, and I would just add some snow. And my idea here is I'm going to hang some baubles on here and make this into my little fairies Christmas tree, and it's outside the house, you see. So that's my next idea. So I'll show you how we create this card first, and I'm going to start with the stamping. So I've just got my copy of paper here, and I'm going to start with this stamp, and this is the Honeysuckle Cottage, so it's the smaller of the three. And I'm just going to stamp it in the black. And again, the reason I was checking my positioning is I tend not to like to have things in the centre unless I actually specifically want it almost dead centre. So I'm just going to stamp the cottage there. And again, me being me, I just find it easier to stamp sideways. Such a beautiful image, this, and if I turn it that way, you can see the detail is just amazing. And then I'm going to use my, just change the stamp off the block, and this is the orchard grass. And again, I'm coming in, I've got these lovely, the small of the Lavinia stamping blocks, and they're beautiful little acrylic blocks, so cute. So as I say, this is my orchard grass, and this is the one that I'm thinking I could turn into a Christmas tree. So I sort of planted it here, and I thought it's just the right size actually to make a fairy Christmas tree. And then that's all the stamping I'm going to do at the minute. So, as I say, here's one I prepared earlier. We'll just dry that off a little. Well, what I'll actually do is, do you know what? I'll go around with my Sharpie. So I'm going to use, I think this is bronze, yes. Because I'm thinking sort of a metallic, and I want it to go with my Mica Minerals. So I wanted a sort of coppery bronze colour. And again, copy your paper underneath. Make sure you hold the design down. And again, it's as quick as anything. Just all four sides. There we go. And I can move that. Oh, knocked my lamp. Like I say, ever the professional. So there we go. And we've got, obviously the edge doesn't show up. If I bring some white card, you'll see the edging shows up better. And now we'll come in with this beautiful confetti. And as I say, I wasn't sure what sort of, because I know the colours on the lids are very close to what it looks like. But again, I love getting new colours and just seeing how they actually go. And I've got my Lavinia stencil brush. And what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of ink on my mat. Now, the thing is with the Elements ink pads, remember, they are full of pigment, high pigment, low water content. So to me, pigment means colour. So that means lots of colour. So I'm going to take a lot off my brush. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to waste this. And again, this will be an ideal design. In my head, I'm working on the Christmas card. So that's what I was going on with this. Now I'm going to bring in my landscape masks, and I'm going to go in with number 1. Now, that's just the way I name them in my head, and it's the flatter one. And I'm just going to ground that orchard grass. Now again, to get perspective, I want darker in the foreground, lighter in the distance. So this can be quite dark, and I'm going to start under my orchard grass because that's where I'd have more shadow anyway, and then just light. I'm just going to use light flicking because I'm not sure how much colour's coming off this. And if I want to check, look, oh yes, that's plenty of colour. What a beautiful colour. And again, you don't need a lot. I know you think sometimes we overstress this, but really take a lot off on your mat. You'd be surprised how far. I mean, it looks like there's no colour on there, but there is. Now I'm going to actually go right across the stone. I'm going to go right up to the front door, but I don't want to mirror where my mask was there. So let's move it a little. Otherwise it'll just look too contrived and it won't look natural. So again, on the mask first, and gently, gently, just holding, nice light, holding, don't grab your brush. I know we've had a few comments recently from new ladies in the group, new crafters, and they're quite scared of, you know, when we say it's only a piece of card. A lot of it, if you just hold your tools lighter and a delicate touch, you'll find you get a much better piece of work. So this is building up nicely. So let's go for some hills. So let's move in and go with, which one should we go with? This one. And again, we can move this to where we're thinking. And I'm not going to mask. I could mask my cottage, but I'm thinking I don't need to. I actually want that one over there. Let me... because I'm thinking I want my moon here. So I need to be, you know, I don't want a big hill and then put my moon. It wouldn't look right. So I'm thinking the smaller hill there. Yes, right, I'm going to go for that. So again, on the mask first, a nice light. So this is in the distance. And I'm just going around the cottage, being mindful. Doesn't matter if a bit of ink goes on it. Like I say, you could mask it, but I'm thinking of a design that I could mass produce. Lift that off. Now you see how nice and light that is. So that's helping me with that perspective. So I'll get my circular mask out now. And let me see, what size shall I... We've got a couple of different sizes, so let's have a look. Oh, that would be too silly, wouldn't it? So I'll put the large one back. And if you notice, all my masks have got a little dab of Posca pen on, just because when they're on my mat, they go quite see-through. Yeah, I think that one's too big. I think we're going to have to go for the smaller one again. Now, I could pop it, if I wanted to highlight my tree, I could have popped it over the tree, but I'm just wanting a bit of something up here. Again, I was sort of being mindful of perspective and thinking how my design was going to look, and I think that balances quite nicely. So I'm going to hold my mask down, and again, always on the mask first. Now, I've not put any more ink on, and I'm going to lightly flick all the way around. And again, those of you who are regular viewers will know Eric, my black Labrador, sleeps under my craft table. And it's quite warm here today, and I've just had him out for a walk. Well, I had him out earlier, and he's asleep. So all I can say is if you hear snoring, it isn't me. It's Eric, my Labrador. There we go. And I think that just gives such a pretty effect, doesn't it? So what we'll do now, we'll put those to one side. And again, I'll wipe all these with my Inky Binky when I've finished. What I want to do is just add a little bit of colour around the edge. So I'm going to come into this ink I've got here. And I always would recommend starting on the corners, because I find I always want the corners darker. And then just along the bottom, and again I'm using my brush and nice light touches, again ink up on the corner, look, and it's sort of a flicking motion. And then up the side, you can, if you want a bit of extra colour, again nice and light though, just flick the colour in up there. And again, be mindful to have that kitchen roll. It's all about good practices. I know I mention these things again and again, but you know what you'll find is if you have good practices, you've less chance. And once you stop making those, or as many of those finger marks, I won't say stop altogether, because we all have the odd one, don't we? Now this as well, when I'm coming in with the corner, I'm being mindful that almost I'm going to shape around where my moon is here. So again, it will look more appealing to the eye. So I don't want much colour at the top there. Little bit down the side. Again, these brushes are so forgiving. The main thing is, as I say, not too much ink on them. There we go. Got a little bit of glitter there. Now, where's my brush? Again, try not to get into the habit of putting your hand across, because you may put, again, finger marks on. So I always have a little soft brush. And again, it's in a bit of plastic because I don't want it to get glitter on. And that's my way of taking that off. So there's our design so far. And again, I'm thinking you could do this with different colours, but I must admit I like the way this is going. Now we have still got some ink here. So I have got one of my Lavinia brushes, look, in a pot of water. The first thing I do every day in my craft room is fill my water pot up. And then it's there ready. So I'm going to pick this ink up, and because I'm keeping it all tone on tone, I'm going to come in and add some colour. So I wasn't worried that I went over these stones, because what I'm going to do is just paint the rest of them in. And then just on the cottage, I'm going to start and add some colour under each of the twisting vines here, where we'd have shade. I'm not going to overthink it. This is a nice, almost quick and easy. You can spend more time colouring if you want. As you know, I love watercolouring with, well, I say watercolouring, I say that loosely. I know I'm not a watercolour expert, but I love just painting with ink and water. And I have to say, these brushes, beautiful. Again, remember the tip, if you just turn them with that thumb here, look, and these, so far I've found the point stays absolutely true. Beautiful, and such a good selection. So I'm going to come in now along the base again where I'd have shadow, and if you look at all your stamps, you'll have lines where Tracy's dictating, she's telling you, you will have colour there. And then I'm literally, because I've got the moon on this side, I know I'll have, it will be lighter that side, won't it? So I know I can come in. And again, if you think the more water you add to your ink, the lighter it will be. So we can infill with almost some watery ink and get a bit of colour here. So I'm just adding a bit more water to my ink. And this is a great way of I'm watercolouring, but also I'm using the ink up that's on my mat. And we'll add just some gentle light colour there. And then let's see if we can get a little bit darker for the door. Just pick some of this ink up here. A bit more water. That's better. Just paint that door in. Now I just want it slightly darker in some areas, so I'm just going to, on a dry bit of my mat, tiny bit of ink. And I say a tiny bit, you really do just need and that's probably too much. Just want to darken round my door, just again to help with perspective. And I'm just going to, under the roof here, and just the bottom of these stones. Again, tone on tone, because the lighter colour's dry and I've gone in now with less water, more ink, that'll help and give me shade. A little bit of shade under there. And then I think I'm just going to pick a few of these odd bricks out. And again, you can spend as long as you like doing this. I mean, it's just such a beautiful thing to do. And just to show you how fine that point is, look, we can go just with the point of that paintbrush and give ourselves more detail, especially this side. I want it quite dark, so I'm just going to turn it this way, just because it's easier for me to actually go down underneath and down this edge, just to give a little bit more perspective. Now, it is best if you've got a steady hand, which I've got to be honest isn't easy when you're recording yourself and you're a nervous little thing like me, but hopefully these brushes will help. So I'm hoping you can see, I'm hoping that's just helped with a little bit of depth and perspective. And what I want to do is just add a little bit more under here and just sort of give the idea of a path. Nothing major. We'll just add a little bit. There we go, that's a little bit better, a little bit more interest. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a few little specks just in the sky, just to take away. Now again, if you're the sort of person that doesn't like to add this, you can leave those off. I just wanted to add a few little specks. For me, it just gives a little bit more interest. And what I am actually going to do, just with that ink there, is just add a little bit of colour down the stems of my flowers. Almost, it gives them a bit more depth. There we go, I'm happy with that. Right, so I'm just going to wipe my mat with a piece of wet kitchen roll and then just dry it off with my Inky Binky. And what I will do is I'll just bring my heat tool in just to dry that off. I'll just pat it a bit. And at home I would just leave that, let it dry naturally, go off, make myself a coffee or something. And again, lifting your card up helps dry front and back. So what we'll do is we'll do a little bit more of the stamping and we'll stamp the berries at the top. I mean, again, the beauty of these designs is, what I try and show you is that you could leave that design at that place if you wanted. But I think that the stamping, the berries, will just add a bit more to it. So we've got the large, so on this berry wreath set, we've got a large stamp and a smaller stamp. And again, use your acetate to help decide where you're going to stamp them, because they face different ways. Now again, I'm going to come in with my black ink, and I'd just like one over the moon. I think that looks nice. And then that shape looks nice there, doesn't it? Such a useful stamp, this. So I'm thinking that coming in down there. Then just the end, I think. Again, I want it to try and look as natural as possible. So let's bring in the other stamp. And we can, yeah, that just nicely along the top there. So we'll just put that there. And again, that just frames the design beautifully. And what we're going to do is we're going to colour these berries. So at this point, I'm going to bring in my Mica Minerals. Now this is copper. And again, that's why I went for my edging pen to be sort of a coppery bronze colour. Now this powder is beautiful. It has lots and lots of ways to use it. The first way we're going to use it is to paint with it. So if I move that out of the way, and what I'm going to do, I tend to use, you know when you go to one of those nice coffee shops and with your coffee they give you one of those nice coffee stirrers. Well, being a crafter, obviously I save mine and they make beautiful little scoops. So I'm just going to scoop a little bit of this gorgeous powder and put it on my desk. Now I don't need a lot. And again, this craft mat, just everything goes straight on my craft mat, as you know. And then I'm going to get my brush and I'm just going to mix a little bit of water. And for this, it's getting the right amount. And sort of the more you do it, the more you'll realise what the right amount is. Now, because I'm going to paint the berries, I don't want too much water. So let's see how we're doing. Oh, that looks about right. Now, again, at home, you would take your time. And again, this is my favourite. This is the size #1 brush, in case you're interested. And I found this just perfect for doing this. And a little tip, if you paint the berries sort of in the middle of the card and then work your way out, you've less chance of putting your hand on what you've just painted. And as I say, you would take longer at home. I'm always mindful when I'm doing this, but hopefully you're just having a nice little drink and just happily watching. So for me, turn my card round, look. And again, I'm mindful to keep my hand here with the kitchen towel. But again, I'm thinking Christmas just adds that nice bit of, I think sometimes we need a nice little bit of almost glamour, don't we? And the Mica Minerals come in lots of different colours. Do check them out. And I have to say, they last just for such a long time. And painting with them, as you saw, I only put a tiny bit on my mat. I've actually added them to my distress ink and painted that way. Whereas this time I'm just using the Mica Minerals. And I think we might just, as I say, if you make it too watery, you'll soon find out. But I would rather make less, add less water and then just add it slowly. There we go, I'm hoping you can see that. And then what I'm thinking is we'll just add some little highlights just on there, and we'll just paint. It just shows you how good this brush is. We'll just paint the stones around the door. Then I just want to add a little bit of highlight here. And again, if you're batch card making, you could save that and use it and paint more with it. But obviously, because we're short on time, I'm just going to wipe it away with a cloth and just clean my area. And what I'm going to do is, again, just give this a little bit of a whiz with the heat tool. Just because the next thing we're going to stamp at the base, but add some dry powder. So really, if this is dry, the better I can show you. So the other way of using your powders is to stamp with a sticky ink pad, and I'm going to use a Versamark. But one thing to do is make sure your stamp is clean. So I'm going to use the field grass for this. And if you look, obviously it is bigger than the orchard grass, but I'm thinking I can get a little bit further. But one thing I want to do is just give my stamp an extra wipe, just because it will stamp the same, but your Versamark you will get, and look, this is one. So if ever you've used an unclean stamp, it goes on your Versamark. It still works the same, but I've got to be honest, I'm one of them crafters, it messes with my head. I have bought a new one, but I've kept it nice and clean. Haven't used it yet. I wonder if there's anybody else, or is it just me? You know, the first time when I started doing workshops, I bought a brand new Versamark and I passed it round, and when it came back, because obviously some of the crafters didn't clean the stamps, oh, it was just completely, and my little face, I went, oh. But I think that says more about me. I think you get used to it after a while, don't you? Now, you could use an anti-static bag at this point. I'm not going to. I'm just going to come straight in. And what you will see is, if you've got a slightly dirty ink pad like me, you will have a slight mark where you've stamped. If you've got a nice clean ink pad, you will just have almost a watermark effect. This is a beautiful way of making backgrounds. I just want to add it for another dimension on my card, and also just to show you, if you're not sure, how you can use it. And what you do now is your Mica Minerals. I've got a little brush and I'm just going to take a tiny bit. And again, I know I'm very stingy, but I don't like to waste my products. And I'm just going to brush it over where I've stamped with my Versamark. Now again, remember, your Versamark is a sticky ink pad, so your powder will stick. Now I've probably put more on than I would normally, but I wanted to make sure that you saw, you actually got to see where it sticks. And again, I would just with my brush put what I could back into my pot. There we go. I think we've got. And then I tend to give that just a couple of seconds really, almost to fix. I'll move that out of the way. And what I tend to do to get rid of any residue is I use a cotton pad, and that's just for me. I found that the best way, it works well for me. And what I do is just wipe, just to get rid, you can see there's a little residue. And it just gets off that little bit, sort of buffs the card and gets rid that residue. And be mindful not to go over there in case that isn't quite dry. And I've just found this is the better way for me, as I say, and it won't disturb the ink underneath. But there we go. And if I just tilt that, I'm hoping you can see that beautiful glisten. And because you've used your sticky ink pad, your Mica Minerals is fixed now. We've buffed the surrounding, so that will stay there. And what we're going to do, just to add a little bit of depth, we're going to come in with the smaller of these stamps, so that's the orchard grass. And I'm just going to add a little bit of stamping in black. Now, what I will do is get rid of that, because that's got a little bit of Mica Minerals on. And so back to the black ink pad. And we'll just do a couple of these just at the bottom here, just to add some grounding and give a little bit more depth. And I think it balances it. We've got black here, look, and I think it almost needs a little at the bottom. Not too much, just a couple of the ends of these gorgeous grasses. And again, I'm just altering the angle so they look more natural. And we'll put one across there. We'll just add, I think, just one more. Should we angle that one that way? Oh, it needs one in this corner, doesn't it? I hope you agree with me. Just needs a little bit just peeping in there. So when you look at that, hopefully, that's looking like a lovely balanced card. And then just to finish it off, we're going to come in with, I've got a Signo, and this is, I think, is it bronze? Let me look. Yes, it's bronze. And this is going to go with our lovely copper bronze theme. And I'm just going to add some highlights on this vine here. Now, I could have painted this, but I must admit my hand, I'm going to say wasn't that steady, but then when I'm drawing it isn't that steady either. And at this point, I can decide if I want any more highlights. So I can add a little bit more, maybe around the cottage, on the stones if I need. And just on my little grass here, just going to add a few little dots, little bits of copper, just a few little. And that's all there is to it. And I'm hoping you can see how that really glistens. And as I say, for me, I'm thinking that's going to be a design I can really turn into a Christmas. But also, my husband, Carl, his birthday's in December. And I must admit, trying to sort of, when I used to buy those days, cards, it wasn't easy finding birthday cards around Christmas. So if you've got a friend who has a birthday, I think sometimes it's nice to have almost a festive design. So this could be a birthday card, but I think with having almost the shine and the shimmer, it is a little bit festive. And I have left space here that could easily have a lovely sentiment. In fact, if I just get my heartfelt verses, and again, remember the trick of using the acetate, let's just have a look. Yes, birthday wishes would go beautifully there. So I'm thinking a festive birthday, that would be lovely. And what I'll do, I'll bring in the original, pop that there, and I'll just put the one we've made today next to it. So I'm hoping you enjoyed that, and I'm hoping you have a go. As I say, maybe try different colours. I must admit, I've just bought the lime punch as well in the elements, so I'm going to have a go with that. So I've got a Christmas card to make and a design with the lime punch. So that's my homework for the next couple of days. I'm hoping you've got some homework too. You take care, look after yourself, and look after each other as well. Thanks for watching. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.